Title: Love and War. Chapter 1: The Perfect Man. In the heart of bustling Saigon, where the city lights painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, two women stood at the precipice of a battle that neither had foreseen. Hoa, the graceful, intelligent daughter of a wealthy businessman, had always believed in destiny. Lan, the fiery and ambitious woman from humble beginnings, believed in carving out her fate. And then, there was Tuan, the man caught in the storm between them. Tall, confident, and possessing a smile that could make any woman's heart skip a beat, Tuan was the kind of man legends were written about. He wasn't just good-looking. He was kind, intelligent, and successful, a self-made entrepreneur who had built his empire from the ground up. Both women had fallen for him, and now neither was willing to back down. Chapter 2: The Rivalry Begins. Hoa and Tuan had known each other since childhood. Their families had been friends for decades, and everyone expected them to end up together. It was safe, predictable, and in the eyes of society, perfect. But then came Lan. She was different from the women in Tuan's social circle, bold, passionate, and unafraid to speak her mind. She challenged him in ways he never expected, making him question everything he thought he knew about love. Hoa saw the way Tuan looked at Lan, the way his eyes lingered a little longer, the way his laugh was just a bit louder when she was around. It enraged her. She had built a life assuming that Tuan was hers, and suddenly, that future was threatened. Lan, on the other hand, wasn't about to let anyone dictate her happiness. If she loved Tuan, she would fight for him. And so, the war began. Chapter 3: The First Strike. The first shot came in the form of a grand party. Hoa's father, knowing of her affections for Tuan, threw an extravagant gala at their mansion, inviting the city's elite. Lan, of course, was not on the guest list. But she came anyway, dressed in a stunning emerald gown that clung to her curves. She walked in as if she belonged. The murmurs began immediately, eyes darting between her and Hoa. But Lan didn't care. She was there for one reason only: Tuan. When Tuan saw her, his face lit up with something undeniable. He excused himself from a conversation with Hoa and made his way to her. Hoa clenched her fists as she watched him take Lan's hand and lead her to the dance floor. The moment they moved together, it was as if no one else existed. Hoa refused to let Lan win so easily. If Lan wanted a war, she would get one. Chapter 4: The Battle Intensifies. Hoa wasn't going to stand by and watch Lan steal Tuan. She started a meticulous campaign to remind him of their deep-rooted connection. She flooded his life with reminders of their childhood, old photos, shared memories, and stories that tugged at his sense of loyalty. Lan, however, had a different approach. She wasn't interested in nostalgia. She wanted to build something new. She challenged Tuan, pulling him into thrilling adventures, testing his limits, and making him feel alive in a way Hoa never had. One evening, Lan and Hoa's paths crossed at a high-profile charity gala. Lan was draped in a daring red dress, exuding confidence, while Hoa opted for an elegant ivory gown, embodying grace. The tension between them was palpable. As they both approached Tuan at the same time, their gazes locked, sharp, unyielding. Tuan, care to dance? Lan's voice was smooth, seductive. Before he could answer, Hoa slipped her arm through his. Actually, Tuan and I were just about to step outside for some fresh air. Weren't we, darling? Caught between them, Tuan hesitated. The war had escalated, and now, it was a game of who could claim him first. Chapter 5: The Breaking Point. The rivalry reached its peak one fateful night. Hoa had arranged a private dinner at a luxury rooftop restaurant, expecting a romantic evening with Tuan. But when she arrived, she found him already there, with Lan. Lan's face was unreadable, but her eyes held something triumphant. Tuan looked guilty, caught between the two women who had made him the center of their world. Hoa's composure shattered. So this is how it ends? After everything? Her voice wavered, but she refused to let the tears fall. Lan didn't back down. Love isn't about history, Hoa. It's about choice. And Tuan has made his. Tuan stood, torn between them. He loved them both, but he knew he couldn't have them both. He had to choose. And so he did. Chapter 6: The Aftermath. The choice sent shockwaves through their world. One woman was left heartbroken, the other victorious, but at what cost? Love had turned into war, and in war, there were no real winners. Months later, as Tuan walked along the riverbank, he wondered if he had made the right choice. Love, he realized, was never about who was right or wrong. It was about who made him feel whole. And sometimes, even the right choice still left scars. Epilogue: The Legacy of War. Hoa had disappeared from Tuan's life, vanishing into the shadows of the past. Lan had won, but she could still feel the ghost of their rivalry haunting their relationship. Did Tuan truly choose her, or did he just pick the lesser of two battles? As she lay beside him one night, she asked, "If she came back, would you still be mine?" Tuan hesitated for just a fraction of a second too long. Lan closed her eyes, knowing that even in victory, she had lost something too. The end.